Yeah, my name is Dean Broten, and I'm originally from Maddock, North Dakota. And I enlisted in the U.S. Army National Guard in Fargo, and I was in from 1970 to 76. And before I was in the Army, I was a construction worker and grew up on a farm and did different jobs. And I was like 20 when I went in.
What kind of construction?
Well, I was in heavy equipment and underground and about everything you can imagine with equipment.
Did you push pipe?
Yep.
You did, huh?
Yes.
It's fun, isn't it?
I was a pipe layer for the first year, laying 8-inch water mains.
Okay, so you enlisted.
Yep.
And you went to Fargo to be...
I went to Fargo for my physical, and I actually got into the company in Grand Forks. So it was a mobile assault bridge company, and what we did was we were a company that assembled portable bridges for rest of the military to cross. And
so you were in Fargo. You must have went somewhere for basic training or something.
Okay, yeah, I went to Fort Lewis for basic training, and I was in 70. And
how'd you get there?
Airplane.
They flew you?
Yes.
Wow.
Out of Devil's Lake in that old two-engine puddle jumper to Grand Forks, and then I got on or was it Minneapolis, I guess. Then I got on a big jet for the first time in my life. So that was quite an experience. And
so you get to Fort Lewis. What happens?
we got to Fort Lewis Airport. I think it's called SeaTac Airport, and we didn't know where to go, and we walked the whole airport looking, me and another fellow looking where to go to find our bus to take us to Fort Lewis. And we walked all the way from one end to the other and then back again, and it was right across the aisle from where we got off.
Pretty big fort, isn't it?
Yeah, and we'd made it just in the nick of time, before. And then there was a guy, it was in like 2 in the morning, this guy, he had sunglasses on, and biggest guy I ever seen in my life, he'd hollering at us, "Get on the bus." So
that's your DI?
Yeah. Well, he wasn't in particular, but he was our first guy in command that we run into, and he was hung around with us for a couple of days till we got shifted into our basic company.
So Dean, when you enlisted, did you enlist for 2 years or more?
No, when you enlist in the Guard, you enlist for 6 years.
Oh, you were in the Guard?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're doing basic training, barracks? What kind of barracks?
We were originally in the old World War II barracks that would burn down in 6 minutes, they always told us.
Double decker?
And then they transferred us to brand new barracks, which were concrete. So, and then the rest of the time we were there in those.
Okay, what's a normal day like in basic training?
Well, get up at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock, I can't remember, but it was early, and get up and clean yourself up and get out and do a whole bunch of PT, physical training, until you can't hardly move, and then go eat breakfast and come back out and do a whole bunch more physical training, and then go do your daily Army basic training till meal time, and then do some more PT and eat and a little more after you're done eating, and go back to more basic training classes.
Well, while you're doing all that, was the food pretty good? Or?
Yeah, I liked the food myself.
Do any KP?
Yes.
Explain people kitchen, please. What that entail?
That entails, you had like a pots and pans man, you had a dining room orderly, you had ones that helped the cooks, and there was a couple more outside man, he'd did peel potatoes and that, and the first time I got on that, I got the pots and pans. Well, they said you don't want to have the pots and pans because you work your rear end off. So, but I got it stuck
Things are
with
baked
it.
done.
Yeah, and I'd have pots and pans clean to the ceiling, you know, just and I've been busy all day just scrubbing pots and pans. But I noticed one thing: the cooks didn't mess with me. See, I had my work cut out for me, so I never got any harassment. And so the next time my turn to come up for KP, I volunteered for the pots and pans because I knew the cooks would not mess with you as long as you got lots of work to do.
So did you notice, Dean, while you're in there, did they treat you different than regular Army at all?
No.
Did you ever notice anything
No.
like that?
No.
Okay.
Go
So
ahead.
what's some of the training like?
Well, we had regular, you know, we had to go out to the rifle range and grenade range and then classroom and hand-to-hand combat and, you know, your basic Army.
What was the first month you were there? Do you remember?
It was in April.
April?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it was just getting over winter there. It was pretty nice, except, you know, in Fort Lewis it rained all the time, so
Foggy, wasn't it?
foggy and rainy, yeah.
There's
And
a mountain or something you could see in the morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, I could look out my window. I mean, I could look out from my bed even and see Mount Rainier in the background if the sun ever shined, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it was shining, a little rain cloud would come over and drop about 3 inches of rain on you, you know. Of course, it didn't stop them from, you know, training us, so we just went right along with it.
You go to rifle range? Do any?
Yeah, went to I had to qualify in the M16 and M14.
When M14?
Yeah, because they were kind of transitioning away from the 14s to the 16s in the unit that I was come from in North Dakota there. So I qualified in both, and I never saw an M14 after that again.
Right.
So, but at least I was able to shoot them, and I really liked them.
So you're there in 70, right?
Yeah.
Yep. You were there just a month after I got there.
Okay. Were you in that?
I was in Echo 3-2. I was in the older barracks. the whole
Oh,
time.
okay.
Yeah.
I was in A12.
So what was your MOS?
63B20, which was a wheeled vehicle mechanic.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what I went to. And then after, when I went to, or I got done with basic, I went to Fort Ord for AIT training.
Oh, you got to go to California.
Yeah, which was, I didn't think was any better than Fort Lewis, but, you know, it was, I thought it'd be nice and sunny there, but at Fort Ord and out Monterey Bay there, the sun hardly ever shines. It's just always foggy and cloudy there.
Okay.
So it was muggy and cloudy.
So between basic and AIT, did you get any time off or
No.
right straight there? Huh?
Yeah.
What did your folks think of you being in service?
Well, my folks died when I was a little kid, so
Oh, sorry.
I had a guardian, and when I left for the Army, well, that's kind of why I went into the Guard, because my guardian was dying of cancer when I went in, and I wanted to be able to come back home and take care of the ones that raised me, and so
Is that family then, or?
Now you mean?
No, were your guardians, was that family, or?
Yeah, it was my dad's sister and husband.
Okay.
And so when I was in AIT, then he passed away, so I come home for that and then went back again. But,
Okay.
so that's kind of why I went into the Guard, for that particular reason. But so then I went to mechanic school.
In Fort Ord?
Yep.
Okay. And what did that entail?
That entailed, I could be a parts replacer. Your 63B, the 20 echelon was kind of a replacement parts mechanic. I could change a carburetor or change, but I couldn't, I didn't have the training to go into the carburetor, which I knew how to do anyway, but you know, Army's the Army, and you
Do what they say, right?
do what they say. And
Yeah.
so I would replace carburetor, replace parts, and then we had a lot of time on a what they call a low voltage circuit tester. It was for that day and age, it was modern technology for an as an engine analyzer, and we spent half a day for the whole time on just that machine. So that, and I never saw one after that.
Of course. So you spent how long in Fort Ord?
I was there 8 weeks too.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
Did you do any physical stuff?
Yeah, not as much, no. We had every morning PT, and I can't remember offhand now if we had it in the morning and in the evening, but I can't really remember. And at that time, Fort Ord was a open post. Civilians could drive in and out of there like normal. And the day I got there, the night before they had a rock concert, and it was a band called Canned Heat played there. Well, they ended up having a war protest there, and they shut the post down right now, So then the day we got there, we immediately went on guard duty, making sure nobody got into Fort Ord that wasn't authorized. And it was that way at least till we left, I guess. So.
Okay. Did you have to pull out of guard duty there? Or?
Yeah, there we did, because we had right next to us was a AWOL barracks, and they needed bat guards in the AWOL barracks, where they'd retrieve AWOLs, and they'd bring them all to this one barracks that was right next to ours. And you could always tell them because they'd give them fatigues, and but they had to wear their civilian shoes. So you knew there was AWOL, see. Well,
so was this a secured barracks? I mean, they're locked in, I'm guessing, huh?
no, it was just a barracks, but we had a guy at the door. Both doors were with baseball bats, and nobody left.
You had baseball bats?
Baseball bats.
Not a rifle?
No.
Or a pistol?
No, nothing, just a baseball bat.
Okay.
And,
Threatening, I guess.
and I didn't like that, but I guess from what other GIs have gone through, I was pretty minor,
Yeah. So what was the food like in Fort Ord?
It was okay, yeah. I liked all Army food.
Okay.
And the reason is because when I grew up, my mom died when I was 5, so my dad, till he passed away, did the cooking for us, and he didn't know how to cook that good. So when I got into high school and into the Army, I thought, what is some good food here?
Okay. So, you leave Fort Ord? Do you have a graduation or anything? Or?
Yeah, we had I can't remember if we had a ceremony. Maybe we did. Yeah, I think we had to go out on the parade field, and like you did in basic, and then we had that there too, and then we flew home and went back to our unit.
Where'd you fly out of? San Francisco?
Monterey up to San Francisco, and then.
How were you treated going through airports? Did you have to fly in your Class A's?
Yep. You had to have. That's the only way you could fly.
Yeah, and how were you treated going through airports?
I'll tell you what. One time, when my guardian passed away there, the Red Cross got me my month's paycheck ahead of time, and it had all but one dime left out of that paycheck to buy my plane ticket, and that's all the money I had. That one dime. Flew out of Monterey and up to San Francisco, and nobody knew when I was coming or if I was coming, and so I had that dime to call home, and that's what it cost in a payphone back then. One stinking dime, and the phone ate my dime. So I walked around, and I got to try to let them know I'm on my way, and so I started asking people for money. Hey, you got a dime to loan me to make a phone call? Boy, I got turned down a lot.
Did you finally get it?
Yeah. finally got a call, and I called collect home and told them I'm on my way home, but I'm flying standby. So I don't know when I'm going to get home,
Not
but I'm on my
guaranteed.
way in the airport. And I sat in San Francisco for a night, and then the next morning I was sleeping in a chair, waiting because everything was full. I get bumped, you know.
Well, you didn't know there was a service lounge?
I didn't know that. Anyway,
Neither did I.
I'm getting to that. And I was sitting in a chair sleeping, and this full bird colonel comes up to me. He says, "What are you doing laying in that chair?" I said, "I'm trying to get some sleep." You know, and I can't even remember if I addressed him as sir or not. You know, I was so tired.
Trying to sleep.
He says, "You know something?" He said, "Look up there." He said, so I looked up, there was a sign, Serviceman Center. Oh. And I went up there, and they had cots, food, they did your uniform.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. And
Because I did the same thing.
You did the same thing.
I slept in a deal. They walked by me. Nobody
Yep.
ever said a thing, and I never saw the sign.
Yep. So then if I'd have known that, I could have come home. And I finally got a call, and I got up to Grand Forks, and then I called them from Grand Forks to come and get me. You know, because I didn't have any more dimes left, and I couldn't tell them when I'm coming because I'm flying standby. You know?
Right.
So I got home anyway, and my uncle, he lasted about, 2 days after I got home anyway, so
That's
I was
too bad.
able to make it home. Okay.
Good.
So yes, part of life.
Yeah, right. So you get up, so now you're a weekend warrior.
Yep.
How'd that go?
Well, I enjoyed that too, you know. We were first in a mobile assault bridge company, and on weekends we'd go set up that bridge and take it down, and we'd even make some pier bridges, you know, for temporary pier bridges, and drive over them a few times and take them down again. And
So you're doing this across a river, or?
sometimes if there was water there, sometimes there wasn't water, we'd still do it for practice, you know.
Just in the field, then, or?
Yeah, a creek or something, you know, just something that if we ever got called to active, we would know how to put it together. And we had air compressors for the ones with the pontoon bridges, you know, and
Okay.
they were out of Grand Forks. And then after a couple of years of that, they switched to equipment company. So instead of having bridge equipment, we had like 20 dump trucks. And that's what we were. And when we went into building, of course that was right up my alley, you know, I was a construction worker. We built some baseball diamonds, we built dikes, and, you know, for the public. And
This is out of Grand Forks?
Yep.
then? You were in a unit in Grand Forks?
Yep.
National Guard unit. And you were there
till I got out.
like 5 years, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we built a lot of good things for the public, you know, and got called out on some emergencies and, you know, things like
What
that.
type of emergency, you remember?
Flooding. I believe it was flooding. Yeah. And we built some ball diamonds up at Grafton State School there 1 year. Yeah, just various projects.
You put the fencing up too and everything, or?
I think some other outfit did that. All we did was the dirt work because we were a dump truck, so we hauled dirt. And I was a mechanic. You know, I was the mechanic. Me and a couple other guys were mechanics, and I also run the wrecker truck
Okay.
for towing dead trucks home or
So where'd you go to summer camp?
Devil's Lake, North Dakota.
Every year?
Yeah, every year.
Never went anywhere but Devil's Lake.
That was it, yeah. 1 year we went out there was I forget the helicopter went down. It was that crane, sky crane.
Sky crane, yeah.
Yep,
Looked like a big grasshopper.
yep. It lost its charge in its blades, so 1 year we went out there, and I took the wrecker out there, and we waited there for few days till the blades are coming up from another state, like down south someplace. And then we changed them and went home again. That was a big excitement one year. Right on Garrison, Lake Garrison.
Yeah, because them cranes are all motor.
Yep.
They're all jet engines, aren't they?
Yep, and the guy took me up in there and he let me run the crane part of it. You know, like the crane guy, he can go sideways, forward and back, but he can't go up and down. That's the only control he has no control of. So that was kind of interesting. I got to.
Up and down is lifting it or bringing it down, right?
Up and down was the hook on the crane. I could do that, but not I couldn't lift the helicopter up.
Oh, yeah.
That was the
right.
pilot.
Right.
Because I still had up and down control of the hook, the headache ball.
I had to be kind of excited. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. I'd never been around one of them before, you know.
For a North Dakota, Minnesota boy.
Been on, farm tractors, you know, that's all I ever knew about. Some heavy equipment.
Okay, so anything else with your military career?
That's about it. We were just a typical guard unit, and I enjoyed it. You know, it was good. It was good to get away from your regular job too.
What was your regular job?
I was a heavy equipment operator.
And you just said that at the beginning. Yeah?
43 years.
43 years.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. And where'd you do this at?
All over the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
So all over the United States.
From California to Georgia to Illinois, up through the Midwest here, and
That's after you got out of the Guard,
yeah,
right?
after
Okay.
I got out of the Guard.
And what'd you do while you were in the Guard?
I worked for a company out of Fargo, Northern Improvement Company, so we were still, I worked mostly in Minnesota and North Dakota, some South Dakota, but I was able to make it back for drills at the time. 'Cause they gotta let you go to drills.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it worked out all right.
Okay. What stands out to you the most in your military career?
Probably basic training. This was my first solo away from home, and
Yep.
you had to compete with the rest of the world, and that grew me up pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a growing experience, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Like I say, I'm not a combat veteran or anything, so I haven't got a lot to tell, but
You have a story.
I have a story.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And we're story for, you got kids?
Yeah, I have one daughter and 2 stepchildren and 5 grandchildren.
There you go. They can look back at them
Yeah.
and say, look at that old fart what he did.
Well, my grandson, he's kind of into that veterans thing, and he likes to know about things. So.
Good.
The Guard had its duty too at the time.
Yep.
So we had a mission to fulfill, and we tried to it to our best ability.
Good. Anything else you want to add?
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
It's been 50 years, over 50 years almost.
Like I told Arnold just a while ago, you'll go home and you'll think all kinds of things
Yeah.
you're going to say.
Yeah, you forget things, and we got some good friends through the Guard, lifelong friends.
I was going to ask you, when you went in, did you know anybody when you went?
Yes, when I went to basic training, there was a guy from Devil's Lake that I didn't know before, but he was from Devil's Lake, which was 40 miles from me, so we kind of clicked there because we were close to home,
Yeah.
So, and we stayed together almost all the way through AIT. Because when I went home, when I went home to my uncle's funeral, I got pushed back because I was gone. So I graduated with the class after the one that I started in, because I had to leave home, go back home for an emergency leave.
So you got to know more guys.
Yeah, I got to know a whole bunch more guys, in fact. So that was the nice part. You got a lot of good friends. So.
Okay. Anything else?
I can't think of anything else.
Okay, Dean. Well, want to thank you for doing this interview, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.